My husband was unfaithful with my sister, leading me to take all the money and evict him from our house. He now regrets his infidelity. The situation escalates into a public scandal, significantly damaging his reputation and career. Consequently, he suffers the loss of not only his finances and residence but also his social status. The morning sun cast a gentle glow across the kitchen, where Rosa sat sipping her coffee. It was a quiet, ordinary morning, or so it seemed. As she scrolled through her tablet, an email notification caught her eye. It was from an unknown sender, but the subject line, about Samuel, prompted an uneasy curiosity. With a hesitant tap, Rosa opened the email. It contained a series of photos and messages, evidence of an affair that was both undeniable and unimaginable. The images showed her husband, Samuel, intimately entangled with another woman. The shock hit her like a physical blow, but what twisted the knife deeper was the realization of who the other woman was, her own sister. Rosa felt a mix of nausea and rage as she tried to process the betrayal. She had trusted Samuel implicitly, their marriage a seemingly unshakable foundation in her life. And her sister, her confidant since childhood, how could she? When Samuel walked in, his cheerful good morning halted abruptly as he saw Rosa's tear-streaked face and the open email on the tablet. His expression morphed from confusion to dread within seconds. "Rosa, what's wrong?" he asked, approaching cautiously. She couldn't speak. Instead, she pushed the tablet towards him. Watching his face fall was a small, bitter satisfaction, but it did nothing to quell the storm of emotions raging inside her. Samuel stammered, a jumble of excuses and apologies spilling from him. "Rosa, it was a mistake. I never meant to hurt you. It just happened, and..." His words were white noise to Rosa. She stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. "A mistake," she echoed, her voice trembling with anger. "You call an affair with my sister a mistake?" I know it's unforgivable," Samuel pleaded, his voice laced with desperation. "But please, we can work through this. I love you, Rosa." The words "I love you" from him now felt like an insult. Rosa's heart, once so full of love for this man, felt hollowed out by betrayal. "Work through this," she said, her voice rising. "There's nothing left to work through, Samuel. You've destroyed everything." She stormed past him, heading to their bedroom to gather her thoughts. Samuel followed, his pleas continuing, but they were drowned out by the cacophony of Rosa's own thoughts. She felt a clarity amidst the chaos, a resolve forming within her. Returning to the kitchen, she faced Samuel with a steely calm. "I want you out," she said firmly. "Out of this house, out of my life. I'll be speaking to a lawyer." Samuel's face crumpled, the reality of the situation sinking in. "Rosa, please." But Rosa was resolute. "It's over, Samuel. You made sure of that." As she watched Samuel pack a bag in a daze, Rosa felt a myriad of emotions: grief for the love and trust lost, anger at the betrayal, and a looming sense of uncertainty about her future. But beneath it all, there was a flicker of something else, a determination to rebuild her life, piece by shattered piece. In the days following Samuel's departure, Rosa's home felt like a mausoleum of memories, each corner a haunting reminder of a life that had crumbled under the weight of betrayal. Yet, amidst the ruins of her trust and love, a fierce determination took root. She had decided to not just let go but to fight back, to seek justice for the wrongs done to her. Rosa's first step was to meet with a lawyer, Ms. Evelyn Hart, known for her tenacity and expertise in family law. As Rosa sat in the sleek, modern office, she recounted her story, her voice steady but her hands betraying her inner turmoil. Ms. Hart listened intently, her expression a blend of empathy and professional detachment. Infidelity cases can be complicated, Rosa, Ms. Hart began, but the evidence you have against your husband, particularly the financial implications of his actions, gives us a strong case. We can pursue substantial compensation for the emotional and psychological damage, as well as any financial losses. Rosa nodded, feeling a sense of empowerment for the first time since her world had fallen apart. I want to go through with it, she said resolutely. It's not just about the money. It's about holding him accountable. As they discussed the legal strategy, Rosa felt a strange mix of emotions. There was fear, certainly, at the prospect of a public and potentially messy legal battle. But overriding that was a sense of righteousness, a belief that justice needed to be served. The first court hearing was a surreal experience for Rosa. The courtroom was packed, not just with legal professionals but also with journalists who had caught wind of the scandalous case. Samuel was there, looking visibly shaken, his usual confident demeanor replaced by a sense of defeat. As the proceedings began, Rosa's lawyer presented the evidence with clinical precision. The photos, the messages, the financial records of Samuel's expenditures on his affair, each piece adding weight to their case. Samuel's lawyer tried to downplay the situation, citing it as a personal matter that had been blown out of proportion. But the public's interest was already piqued. By the time the hearing ended, the story had been picked up by various media outlets. Headlines screamed about the high-profile executive caught in an affair with his wife's sister, and the wife who was courageously taking a stand against him. Samuel's world, much like Rosa's, was unraveling. But unlike Rosa, he found no solace or strength in his plight. His reputation was tarnishing by the minute, friends and colleagues distancing themselves as the scandal grew. For Rosa, the media attention was overwhelming but also strangely validating. She was no longer the silent victim of her husband's infidelity. She was a woman demanding justice and refusing to be silenced. Each day brought new challenges, new emotions to grapple with. But as Rosa lay in bed each night, going over the day's events, she felt a growing sense of conviction. She was fighting not just for herself, but for every person who had ever been wronged in such a profound way. The legal battle was just beginning, but Rosa was ready. She had found her strength in her resolve to fight back, and she would see this through, no matter what it took. As the legal battle intensified, so did the public interest in Rosa and Samuel's case. The affair, once a private agony, had become a spectacle for the world to see. Rosa, who had sought justice, found herself thrust into a glaring spotlight that illuminated every aspect of her personal life. The media frenzy was unrelenting. Cameras flashed outside the courtroom, reporters hounded her for statements, and her once quiet social media profiles were now bombarded with messages of both support and unwarranted criticism. The story of the high-profile executive, Samuel, caught in an affair with his wife's sister, and the subsequent legal battle, was fodder for every news outlet. Rosa found the attention suffocating. She had wanted to make Samuel accountable, but the public scrutiny was a price she hadn't fully anticipated. Her every move, every appearance in court, was analyzed and discussed. She clung to her privacy fiercely, giving only necessary statements through her lawyer. Meanwhile, Samuel's life was unraveling under the weight of public judgment. His once impeccable reputation was now tainted with the mark of a betrayer. His professional life suffered as clients and partners distanced themselves. Friends who had once been close were now conspicuously absent. The man who had walked with such confidence was now a shadow of his former self, hounded by the media and shunned by those he knew. Amidst this chaos, Rosa struggled to maintain a sense of normalcy. She threw herself into her work, finding solace in the routine and the challenges it presented. It was a welcome distraction from the legal and media circus her life had become. Each court session was a battleground, with revelations and accusations flying from both sides. Rosa's lawyer, Ms. Hart, was relentless, unveiling layers of Samuel's deceit and the impact it had on Rosa's life. Samuel's defense tried to portray the affair as a momentary lapse in judgment, but the evidence spoke louder. The public opinion was divided. Many sympathized with Rosa, seeing her as a symbol of strength and resilience in the face of betrayal. Others criticized her for airing private matters so publicly. Rosa found herself scrutinized not just as a wronged wife but as a woman who dared to challenge her husband so openly. Rosa's relationship with her sister, the other party in this scandal, was another source of public intrigue. The bond they once shared was shattered beyond repair. Rosa's pain was compounded by the loss of her sister, a betrayal that cut deeper than Samuel's. There were no public confrontations, just a silent agreement to remain estranged. As the case dragged on, the initial rush of empowerment Rosa had felt was now mingled with exhaustion. The fight for justice was taking its toll. Yet, she refused to back down. This was about more than just her and Samuel. It was about standing up against betrayal and fighting for what was right. The chapter closes with Rosa bracing herself for another court appearance, a mix of determination and weariness in her eyes. The legal battle was far from over, and the public's gaze was unyielding. But Rosa had found an inner strength she never knew she had, a resolve to see this through to the end, no matter the cost. In the wake of the public scandal and ongoing legal battle, Samuel's life entered a downward spiral from which there seemed no escape. His once unshakable confidence had crumbled under the weight of his actions and their consequences. Each day brought a new headline, a new wave of public disdain, and a further fall from the grace he had once enjoyed. Samuel's professional life, which had been the bedrock of his identity, was now in ruins. The company he had dedicated years to, building a reputation as a sharp and successful executive, had distanced itself from him, leading to his eventual resignation under a cloud of disgrace. His network, once a source of pride and support, had disintegrated. Colleagues and acquaintances, wary of being associated with his tarnished image, turned their backs, leaving Samuel to face his downfall alone. The isolation extended to his personal life as well. Friends who had once filled his social calendar with invitations now shunned him, making it clear that his presence was no longer welcome. The vibrant social life he had led was replaced by solitary nights in a small apartment, a stark contrast to the life he had known in the home he shared with Rosa. Meanwhile, Rosa continued her relentless pursuit of justice. Her strength in the courtroom, her unyielding determination to hold Samuel accountable, only served to deepen his sense of loss and regret. He found himself replaying their last conversations, her words echoing in his mind, a reminder of the life he had destroyed through his own indiscretions. The media, ever hungry for the next chapter in the scandal, continued to follow Samuel's every move. His fall from grace was a story that captivated the public, a tale of betrayal and downfall that served as a cautionary tale. The coverage was relentless, each report a further blow to his already shattered ego. In the midst of this turmoil, Samuel found himself reflecting on his past, on the decisions that had led him to this point. He thought of Rosa, of the pain he had caused her, and of the love they had once shared. He remembered the good times, the laughter and the dreams they had built together, now all tainted by his betrayal. He also thought of Rosa's sister, the other participant in his downfall. What had started as a reckless flirtation had spiraled into an affair that had destroyed his marriage and fractured a family. The guilt he felt was overwhelming, a constant companion in his solitary existence. As the legal proceedings drew on, Samuel's despair deepened. He was losing everything: his career, his reputation, his friends, and most painfully, the woman he now realized he had truly loved. His attempts to reach out to Rosa were met with cold rejection. She had moved on, her focus solely on the legal battle and rebuilding her life. The chapter closes with Samuel sitting alone in his apartment, the walls closing in around him. The life he had known was gone, replaced by a reality filled with regret and solitude. The consequences of his actions were inescapable, a daily reminder of the cost of betrayal. The once proud and successful Samuel was now a broken man, facing a future filled with uncertainty and remorse. The final chapter of Rosa and Samuel's tumultuous story began in the solemn ambience of the courtroom, where months of legal battles were culminating into a decisive resolution. Rosa sat with a composed demeanor, her eyes reflecting a journey of pain, resilience, and empowerment. Across the room, Samuel appeared a mere shadow of his former self, his posture deflated, his gaze fixed on some unseen point of regret. As the judge delivered the final ruling, Rosa felt a complex wave of emotions. She was awarded substantial compensation, a recognition of the emotional and financial damages she had endured. The verdict was more than just a legal triumph, it was a vindication of her stand against betrayal and injustice. For Samuel, the judgment was the final nail in the coffin of his old life. The legal defeat was not just a financial blow, it was a public affirmation of his wrongdoing. He had lost everything: his career, his reputation, and most painfully, the woman he had loved and the family they had dreamed of building together. In the days following the verdict, Rosa grappled with a mix of relief and exhaustion. The fight had been long and draining, but she had emerged victorious, a testament to her strength and determination. Yet, the victory was bittersweet. It had come at the cost of a marriage she once cherished, a relationship with her sister that was forever broken, and a private pain that had been exposed to the world. Rosa's journey of healing was just beginning. She devoted her time to rebuilding her life, finding solace in her work, and the support of friends who had stood by her. The public interest in her story gradually waned, giving her the privacy she longed for to heal and move forward. For Samuel, the aftermath of the trial was a period of profound introspection and loneliness. He was forced to confront the consequences of his actions, to live with the guilt and the realization of what he had lost. His attempts to reach out to Rosa were met with a firm resolution. She had closed that chapter of her life, leaving him to face his future alone. The chapter, and the story, concludes with Rosa standing by the window of her home, looking out at the city. She had come a long way from the woman who had been shattered by betrayal. The journey had been painful, but it had also been transformative. She had found an inner strength she never knew she possessed, a resilience that had carried her through the darkest times. As for Samuel, he is seen in a quiet park, sitting alone on a bench. The scene is reflective, a man coming to terms with the consequences of his choices. The vibrant life he once led was a distant memory, replaced by a quieter, more introspective existence. In the end, Rosa and Samuel's story is a poignant tale of love, betrayal, and the enduring human spirit. It's a reminder that the choices we make have profound effects on our lives and the lives of those around us. The story leaves readers with a sense of closure, yet also a contemplation of the complexities of human relationships and the unpredictable journey of life.